regular council meeting of the Village of Bramanand to order on February the 6th, 2017 at 7:30 p.m. at the Bramanand Community Center. And for prayer we have Pastor Phillips, I believe, of the Northgate Baptist Church. Yes.
I want to thank you for the opportunity to be here tonight, cold February night. Let's open with prayer. Lord, I take a moment to thank you for the opportunity to come together, and I just want to continue to lift this island up to you, Lord, and thank you for the work of this council, the mayor and the council members, Lord, and the staff and each one that's involved in making our island a better place. We continue to pray for the people and the opportunities we have to just be utilized in such a fashion to continue to see great things happen in our midst here. So I thank you for the volunteers, and I thank you for the concerns and the prayers that people have for different situations going on around. We continue to lift up our youth and pray that you would watch over them and help us to encourage them in their lives, and just help us all to be very, very thankful, Lord, for in the times that we live, that we have a place such as Bramanand to call home. So just be with us this evening, be with all that is to transpire, and may we continue to give you praise, honor, and glory. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
Thank you very much. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. First of all, I'd like to mention that our cameras and microphones have been upgraded by Patrick Watt and his friend from CHCL. They come in at their own expense, and they understood that our reception was not very good, and the sound was not very good. So hopefully with these upgrades, things will work better. Council, we finished up our budget on January the 26th. The tax rate will increase by 1 cent per $100 valuation. That does not mean that your taxes will not go up, for the simple reason that the province does the assessment. So we've done our share in keeping it down, a cent. This year's budget was very hard to do, trying to keep the tax increase low and not being much of a burden on families or for the elderly with a fixed income. We tried to provide services within our means. People and organizations used to come to the village as a last resort. This is not the case now. Council looked at all requests and the merits to the community with the grants that were awarded. If you were not successful this year, please apply again next year. And I'd like to mention that we have supported the Bramanand Animal Rescue
Animal Welfare League.
We have supported them over the years, and this year it was very nice of them to send us a letter that they didn't need the village's help, that they had done some raising money on their own, which was very good for the village. And I want to thank the Deputy Mayor, Robert Moses, for the great deal of the work that he put into the budget. When we had our budget meetings, he was right on top of the figures, and it saved us a lot of meetings. And for you people who don't realize it, Dr. Lawton has left, and our new doctor, Dr. Alway, who's coming from Ireland, will be here on February the 14th. And with Dr. Alway, and we are paying for part of the housing and also for Dr. Hare. And if you question Dr. Webb, he's living in the house that the village owns anyway. So when we come to additions for the budget, we're going to be talking of what other communities have done with Ellen's Law. And Ellen's Law was brought in because of the girl in Sussex that was struck by a car and fatally injured, Ellen Waters. So there goes Corporal Brian. So that's my remarks for tonight. Before I get away from that too much, Corporal Prime has another RCMP officer, I think his name is Corporal Dan Smith from the St. Stephen office,
From the St. George office.
St. George office. He's over here to find out how the island lives, so let's welcome him to the community. Next is a disclosure of conflict of interest. The adoption of the minutes of January the 9th, 2017, and our special meeting of January the 26th, January the 9th and January the 7th, 26th of 2017 special meeting.
Mr. Mayor, I will move these minutes be adopted as circulated.
You heard the motion by Deputy Mayor Moses. Do we have a seconder?
Second.
Seconded by Councillor Cheney. Question? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Number 6 is the additions to the agenda. So we have Ellen's Law for an addition.
Under new business, Mr. Mayor? Or,
Can be, yes.
yes.
Do we have a motion to add that?
I move to add that to the agenda.
You heard the motion by Councillor Morse. Do we have a seconder?
I'll second it.
Seconded by Councillor Turner. Question? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Number 7 is the RCMP report, Corporal Prime. He's going to take a lot of time because he's got 2 months to do it.
Good evening. Thank you, Mr. Mayor, Councilor, friends here and at home for having us. And yes, I guess I'll eat up some of the rec director's time. He said there was extra, so I could provide 2 reports. As we all know, I didn't have one here for December. So now before you, councilors, you'll have December's monthly report for the RCMP in Grand Manan. And you'll also have January's report for the month of January 2017. To start off with December of 2016. In December of 2016, the RCMP in Grand Manan responded to or initiated 13 investigations under the criminal code, ranging from theft of a vehicle to impaired driving, thefts under $5,000, those types of files. 3 statutes under federal statutes, so 3 files or investigations for controlled drugs and substances, for possession and or trafficking in a controlled substance. 32 other calls for service, ranging from false alarms to the Liquor Act to assisting with animal and dog calls. We had 90 stats under the provincial statutes, from check stops to issuing tickets and warnings to our motorists, to doing a STEP program, the Selective Traffic Enforcement Program that went along with our December 4th or 5th, I think it was, when we did our National Impaired Driving Day. So we targeted a lot of drivers on the road to cut down on impaired driving. And we had some traffic collisions as well in December that we responded to. That was the month of December 2016 in a nutshell. Any questions on December 2016 before I move into January? All right, so January 2017, first month of the year is in front of you. We responded to or worked on 18 files that were related, or calls that were related to the criminal code. 4 under assaults, criminal harassment, identity theft, impaired driving, thefts under harassment communications, mischief, those types of files. 4 files, investigations under the Controlled Drugs and Substances Act for either possessing a Schedule 8 substance or, having a drug that was illegal in your possession on the island. We also had 27 other calls for service. Again, 3 calls for abandoned 911 calls. Assistance to other police agencies, Child Welfare Act, we had a couple of calls there where we assisted Department of Community Services and Child Protection Services. And then under provincial statutes, we had 44 stats, from check stops to issuing tickets and warnings again, to other non-moving traffic, to traffic collisions. And you'll see our traffic collisions about the same. We had 6 in December and 5 in the month of January, one resulting in injury in January. So that's the month of January 2017.
Any questions for Corporal Prime?
I have a question, Mr. Mayor, not necessarily to do with this report, but it does have to do with the CMP and policy on when you issue a fine, for example, with motor vehicle act in particular, parking and speeding and things like that. Does any portion of that return to the community, or does it go directly to Fredericton? Does it go to the RCMP? How does that work?
It goes directly to the province.
Okay.
Yeah. So there are agreements in place between towns and the province, municipalities and the province. I wouldn't be able to tell you what portion or what percentage, if any, of those tickets or those funds that come out would come back, say, to Graham and Ann by way of the budget.
Yeah.
That's above my pay scale, unfortunately. I don't have that answer for you, but I do know in some places there are certain portions of it that do go back to the villages or to the towns. In other places it does not. It gets reflected in the, the annual budgets.
Okay, thank you.
It does not come back to us, I can say that.
Okay.
No incentive for me.
Okay, very good.
It's not really a question so much as a comment, just the difference in the stats between, under criminal code, between December and January. They seem to be, well, the numbers, I mean, it's up some, but they just seem to be more serious, maybe, for lack of a better word. Offenses that seem to be showing up there, things that I was surprised about. The identity theft in particular was one that jumped out, and the assault. Some of those were a bit more.
Yeah. It's the assault ones. Obviously, I can't speak to the. Most of those are still before the courts, so I can't speak to those directly. For obvious reasons. But over the holiday season, it tends to be a time where people kind of maybe indulge a little bit more and take some more freedoms or liberties with other people's freedoms and liberties, and those types of things happen, obviously, unfortunately, over the holidays. And that's what you'll see here. The other one you spoke to, identity theft, it's a good one to bring up, because it's a good one to remind the people of Graham and Ann, and to remind our seniors, and to remind everyone, especially our seniors, though, is where they tend to target is identity theft and fraud, right? Whether it's computer generated or whether it's over the phone. Your bank will not call you to ask you for how much money is in your account or for your PIN number. They're not going to call you and ask that. Revenue Canada is not going to call and ask that. They're not going to do it over the computer at 1 a.m. So when those things start to happen to you, come and see us. And don't respond to them. There are ways that we will tell you to get around that, whether it's going into your local bank or whether it's calling directly a branch of Revenue Canada or whatnot at a later date during business hours when there's somebody there can answer your questions. So please don't give out any private information. Don't be giving out your dates of birth. Don't be correcting people over the phone if they give you misinformation about your bank account. Don't do that. That's private information that they're not going to ask you over the phone.
Corporal, getting more into that, the identity theft and other such fraud. We received a phone call the other evening, for example. We all know about the terrible tragedy in Quebec City.
Yeah.
And the person called up and says they were looking for donations to help us out. And unfortunately, during times like great tragedy, it seems like there are those who take advantage of the situation and take false claims of support, and really all they want is their money.
Yeah, there certainly are. If everyone was a good person and an honest person, I'd be out of a job.
Yeah.
So unfortunately, a lot of people use everyone else's tragedies and misfortunes to benefit from, right? So there are people out there that will try and benefit from that. So the shooting at the mosque in Quebec is a perfect example where, you know, a week or two after that, you know, here we have, you know, people calling up trying to elicit donations over the phone, and most of it's fraudulent. Most of it is people that are not trying to gain money for that purpose to help those families. They're trying to put money in their own pockets, and they're going to take as much of your money as you'll let them take. So please don't fall into those scams. A lot of those places like that, you know, even if they are legitimate, and, you know, it's so tough to know if they are or not. If you have a question or if you're hesitant, call us. We'll look into it for you. That's what we're there for. Thank you.
Thank you. So let's just make it a little easy here for Corporal Smith. We'll start down with Councillor Cheney, and everybody can introduce themselves around the table. So when he gets you on the road, he'll know who you are.
Corporal Smith, Kurt Cheney, I have a jet out with a Tweety Talk. Sometimes after hockey, I like rush home to a flu shower.
Because he thinks I'm going home to shower.
Welcome to Grand Am.
I didn't have a follow that. Counselor Bonnie Morris, nice to meet you.
Councillor Tammy Worthen, nice to meet you.
Deputy Mayor Robert Moses, also Mr. Coastal Transport, he listens to there.
Melissa Calder.
Amy Brownlee.
Dennis Green.
Rob McPherson.
Councillor Wayne Sturgeon.
Councillor Jane Turner.
Councillor Roger Fitzsimmons. Nice to meet you.
Mitchell Brown.
Okay then, we have that over with. Now, there's no strangers. Business arising from the minutes, there's nothing there. And then we have a 10-minute open session if somebody wants to get up and speak. One thing I forgot to mention, while Patrick Watt was here, he gave Tara and Garrett a course in how to run this, and he left himself open to giving advice at any time. He's very helpful. Number 10, new business, 10-1, UMNB, Councillor Sturgeon to report.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I attended the meeting in St. George on January the 17th. It was well represented. The only municipality that wasn't there at the time was St. Andrews. And we had a new member up there, and there was the new mayor of Macadam, Mayor Kim Stanix, and we also had Councillor Mitchell Little from Macadam as well. And Mr. Mayor, while there is some concerns in Charlotte County, you know, loss of a courthouse, questions about the hospital and what exactly is going on there. Economically in Charlotte County, everybody was speaking very well. It was very good. Tourism was up everywhere. And in fact, one of the councillors from Blacks Harbor says that when a house comes on the market, it isn't on the market for any time, and it's sold. And that's a good sign of a strong economy in the area. St. Stephen and St. Andrews are partnering together for an airport extension study for the Charlotte County Airport, similar to what we're doing, Mr. Mayor, here as well. They see some great economic impact coming from that, and this certainly strongly encourage us to continue in our works there as well. And in fact, St. Stephen reported that they had 40 plus new businesses in the past year. That's really good news. And one of the things that was mentioned, Mr. Mayor, and I thought was very interesting, I thought I should bring forth to council, is we've all heard of Habitat for Humanity, and you know, how they help people get situated in homes and otherwise they might not ever have a chance. But another thing that they mentioned as well was that Habitat for Humanity has a very good program to help seniors stay in their homes. Whether they need a new roof, new windows, or a new door, maybe some insulation, anything to make it, more habitable, stay in their home. And they give grants for up to $5,000 for anybody that needs assistance in this way. And when I inquired, do they ever make any presentations to municipalities, said they'd very much love to do that kind of thing. So, Mr. Mayor, I am going to make a motion that we invite Habitat for Humanity of St. John to make a presentation to council.
I'll second that, Mr. Mayor.
You heard the motion by Councillor Sturgeon, seconded by Deputy Mayor Moses. Question? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. So
that's pretty much my report, Mr. Mayor. If anybody has any questions, be more happy to entertain them.
any questions for Councillor Sturgeon?
I just want to make one more comment, Mr. Mayor. One of the things that they had also brought up as well is that they were encouraging each municipality to have an official representative for the union municipalities in New Brunswick, and but still allow any member of council to attend a union municipality zone meeting anytime they want. So, Mr. Mayor, I guess you got ahead of the 8 ball on that one. I guess I'm the official representative, so you're ahead of the game. Very good.
This is a little out of order, but Councillor Sturgeon had asked me earlier, before the meeting, if I would comment on the bridge going over to the thoroughfare. That's a Bailey Bridge, and that's all it's going to be. There's no other sections to come. It will not be paved, to my knowledge. That culvert that's over there has been on the replacement list. I've been arguing for it for 6 years. Thought it was going to happen this year, and it didn't. So probably with the Bailey Bridge, it will make it happen in 2017. Okay, then 10.2 is Ellen's Law. You all have a copy of that, I believe?
Robert had emailed it out to everyone.
Yep.
So I will read it. Resolution is Ellen's Law. Whereas Ellen Waters, a Canadian competitive cyclist, was critically injured and succumbed to her injuries in a collision with a car while on a training ride in Sussex, New Brunswick, December the 23rd, 2016. The New Brunswick-born Waters was widely hailed as a rising star in Canadian cycling sporting world. Whereas as a result of the accident, the cycling communities in the province and their supporters have called for legislation that requires drivers to keep a distance of 1 meter from cyclists. Whereas the legislation, if passed, would be known as Ellen's Law. Whereas the cities of Fredericton and St. John are pledging support for this legislation to be passed and have added a request for the development of provincial health and safety active transportation education program for all modes of active transportation for use on our provincial roads and highways. Be it resolved that the mayor send a letter of support on behalf of Moncton City Council for Ellen's Law and for the development of a provincial health and safety active transportation education program to the Premier of New Brunswick and the Provincial Minister of Justice and Public Safety. Be therefore resolved that this resolution be forwarded to the cities of New Brunswick and the AFMB requesting their support. Do we have a mover?
Mr. Mayor, I'll move that we forward that resolution as read.
You heard the motion by Deputy Mayor Moses. Do we have a seconder?
I'll second it.
Seconded by Councillor Turner. Question? Motion carried. Thank you very much. 11 is the committee reports.
Mayor, report. We didn't vote on that? Were we to vote on that? Yeah, we were in a secondary.
I thought we voted. Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Go to Recreation Director before fire.
Stand corrected.
Recreation Director's report. Are you ready?
I'm always ready. Good evening, everybody. Mr. Mayor, before I start my report, seeing how the mayor brought it up, he talked about Dr. Logan and his wife and family leaving. It just seems kind of fitting where we have a possible new RCB corporal thinking about Grand Manan. The Logans have been all over the world, and I know when they left, my family spent a lot of time with them. I spent a lot of time with their kids through minor hockey. All three children, Scout who was 7, Sam and George who were 10 and 11. They've been everywhere, and when they went to leave, they had no idea how attached they would come that quickly to this community. They've never received that type of a welcome anywhere they've ever been. They really struggle when it comes time to leave. So I think that speaks volume of our community as a whole. So anyway, I thought I'd bring that up before I start. So been working on a gymnastics camp for over the March break. Go-Go Gymnastics is all booked to come down that week of the 6th of March. Currently, we have 62 kids registered for that week. Through some hard work of some individuals that have gone around to the community and have found financial support for 24 kids, which is great. We currently have 16 toddlers registered, 18 to 3 years old, 46 other children from 3 to 13. For anyone that's thinking about signing up, right now we only have 10 spots left available for the week. The one thing I would like to do, out of the 24 sponsored children, I would like to see the village also offer to sponsor one for $150. Whether or not that's something that, I know I don't have a very big rec budget, but maybe that's something else that we could take out of the rink account or something. So if someone wouldn't mind, $150 to sponsor a child. And that's something that anyone wants to bring up. If not, I'll just keep continuing on.
You're looking for a motion to sponsor a child?
I would love to have a motion
I
to
would move
sponsor.
that.
I was gonna wait till we get in the report, making it.
What is it on your toes there?
Yeah.
If we could take it as link account, so much better.
I second the motion.
So it was moved by Councilor Morris to support one of our children for $150, seconded by Councilor Jamie to come out of the rink budget.
50-50.
Our CAO says we can do it, so we don't have to bother. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Thank you very much. That means a lot for a child that may not be able to afford to go, so it's a good thing. Last month I also attended at the RPA meeting, which is the Fundy Recreation Professional Association, which again is it's a bunch of rec directors from all the municipalities from St. Stephen to Sussex get together, talk about how horrible the council are and what we're going to do to live with them. Everyone went around the table and kind of gave a regional update. I guess the biggest thing right now for regional update is the town of Hampton. The town of Hampton is also looking at a new wellness facility, much like ours, except the difference is ours is proposed at $7 million, theirs is proposed at 19.8. So they've certainly come up with some hurdles to try to get that money, but they're very, very, very positive, and they're already in the process of doing that. So that was great to hear. Also, the public EpiPen program is something I've talked about a few times over the last little bit. The town of Sussex was the first town to roll that out. Since then, the town of Quispam Sis has also done the same thing. The town of Sussex
what they did when they first rolled that out, they went around to different local businesses as well as municipal buildings, whether it be pool, the rink, all the gymnasiums, things like that. They also went to places like Deer's Lodge and different restaurants. And the very first weekend after the program was rolled out, it saved a life. There was a young man and his daughter out on an 18 poker run, get stung by a bee. Had no idea in 40 years he learned the bees. Anyway, they had just put an EpiPen in Deer's Lodge, and they stuck him with the EpiPen and saved his life. So that's one of the things I am working on, is trying to bring some EpiPens to a bunch of the different kind of higher traffic areas around the community. One being here at this building, possibly Anchorage, swimming pool in summertime, and different things like that. So once we get some more information on that, I'm sure we'll keep everybody up to date. Trying to work with the possibility of working with Rotary for some funding. EpiPens aren't cheap, especially if you don't have a prescription. What it does is, my daughter's allergic to hornets, but where you have a prescription, it's only with a third of the cost. And if I walked in off the street to the municipality and said, "Look, the gland is not even EpiPen." So there's certainly some cost involved in that, but I think there's ways that we can work around that. Also, we talked about Recreation of Brunswick has got a new executive director. His name's Chris Delam. He's actually been an employee of Recreation of Brunswick for about 5 years. He just slowly moved into the executive director role. So he was at our meeting, and everybody got a chance to meet him. I spent some time calling around the girls and the boys that work at the pool this summer, the lifeguards. Everybody seemed really positive again to go back this summer. So I think ways off, it's always good to look ahead, make sure there's no problems coming down the pipe. Activities here in the gymnasium, we've had a little bit of an increase in activities. We've got a new badminton program that started up 2 weeks ago. Andrea Linton has reopened her step aerobics 1 day a week, and we've also got 2 slots on the schedule where we have a running club, where there's some ladies coming in the evenings on Mondays and Fridays, spending an hour kind of running around in the gym, which is good. But it's also a problem, because if you look at our schedule that's hanging on the bulletin board, all the slots are used. There's absolutely no more spots available for expansion, which is a great problem to have. We have our local pickleball club, who in 6 days used 7 slots. They've got over 40 active members, and the problem that they're having now is that in a pickleball game, only 4 people can play at a time. In our current setup, we only have room for 2 games at the same time, which is 8 people. So you can imagine coming in over 40 people, and there's 8 people playing, there's a waiting list. So we're trying to be creative to come up with a way to do a 3rd court. We're working with the pickleball club there to try to organize that. I think it's definitely doable. And maybe something that's along the line is a curtain divider, to be able to cut the gym kind of in thirds, so we can rearrange the courts and be able to get another court in that, which the pickleball seem to be very happy about. But one thing I thought I'd bring up to do with the gym, we have had a bit of an influx of people or different user groups that would ordinarily be using the gym at this community school. I don't know how many of you know, but apparently the school district has changed their policy on booking, which has made it extremely difficult for user groups to use. Everything now is done online, where you have to go in and register, create a password and username. So the individual, like say for example, if I was a coach of a mini basketball team, I would go in, I would organize that, set up the password and username. What they also want is they want me to book what I want from September until June now. And the biggest thing is they want that prepaid on my credit card. One of the groups that's just recently moved to the gym found that so cumbersome that they just gave up. They wanted $62.50 an hour, proof of $2 million liability, and if it happened to be on the weekend when there's not an ordinary janitor on duty, and calling for the janitor to come in and get a minimum of 4 hours to put the vehicle at $200 an hour. So, 6 or 7 years ago that had happened, all those adult groups that use the school, whether it be men's basketball, ladies basketball, floor hockey, badminton, volleyball, would have nowhere to go. But thankfully, the community center's here, so now we're able to accommodate them. So I think the same thing's going to happen with our pool. I think we're going to be glad that we built it. I think that report was longer than corporal problems. Does anybody have any? He had 2 months worth too. Does anybody have any questions?
I think probably we should add that you and I had a conversation concerning the Aquatic Wellness Center. And it was a feeling of council, I think, at our special meeting that finance committee can get together with some recreation committee and go over some figures before we have a public meeting. Is that the gist of it? It does have to go to a public meeting, so it's best to be prepared. We go to a public meeting and the public says, okay, this is what we want, then we will file our application to the Capital Borrowing Board, which they've already said we could borrow the amount that we wanted to borrow. But there's no sense in filing before. So we should probably get that meeting with the Finance Committee and some of the rec members and have a look at it, and then we'll know when we can have a public meeting. And probably the public meeting should be a mailer to make sure that we get to all of the houses. Sorry about that. You and I talked first about that.
You're the boss.
I am.
Maybe we should book our time in the gym now. It sounds like it's kind of busy out there.
So we'll get together on that and see if we can move it ahead so I can get an answer.
So, what's going on this weekend, Neil? In the ring?
What's going on this weekend at the ring?
Yeah. Do we have somebody from St. Stephen coming? Aces?
The Aces. The new junior A team at St. Stephen is coming this weekend on Sunday to do some development clinics for the kids. They came last year as well, but I was in contact. They contacted me, wanted to know if they could do it again. It was such a wonderful time last year. The hospital, of course, the hospitality, they came in, mothers went and organized potluck. And they walked away with 40, 50 pounds of waffles and they boarded the bus to go back to the ferry. And why wouldn't they want to come back? But, I mean, the Aces is a business. I mean, it's a junior team where their goal is to make money, and they're here to promote that. But one of the biggest things is to give back. So they're looking to give back to the community. So what they're going to do is they're going to come and they have a ball hockey kind of a tournament scheduled for the gymnasium, which the Aces players will team up with 3 local kids and will divide the gymnasium into half, and they'll do that for a bit. Just kind of, they're basically kind of killing time, waiting for the arena to open up, because we've got minor hockey games going on at the same time. Once the arena frees up, we get everybody in there, then they'll do half-hour, 45-minute clinic with all our different age groups, like everybody from 4 years old to 17. So once they get that completed, the Aces want to have a public skate where all the members of the public, the community is invited to come in and have a public skate. And the kids love it. They sell these little autograph books. It's almost like the playing cards for the NHL, where all the players, their names and numbers and pictures are there. And the players get to skate around and go up to the NHL players to them and get a tug on their jersey, and they'll have events and they sign it, and the kids eat it up. Then after the public skate, of course, the moms again have organized a potluck thing where the players, the Aces players as well as our local players, will all kind of sit down together and have a meal before we send them back to the ferry.
Good time.
Yep.
No questions for Chris? Thank you very much. So, 11.2, fire department report. I talked to Andrew Jones, and we'll kind of do that, but he had already scheduled Carolyn for tonight. So he said if there was some way to if they canceled, he didn't have to be there, he would not come, or he would come if he could. So he'll probably try to work it into his schedule, so. Roughly what he said is the calls for the month of November, the truck haul maintenance was 3, a motor vehicle accident was 1, for a total of 4 calls in the month of November. The month of December was 2 for truck haul maintenance, 2 for training, 1 structure fire, alarm or other fire was 5 for a total of 9. January, truck and haul maintenance was 2, training was 1, motor vehicle accident was 3, grass wildland fire was 3, and alarm or other fire was 2. So they had a total of 11 calls in the month of January. So they are keeping active. They like it that way. They have their meetings I think every Thursday night, and usually a big percentage of the firemen attend, and I was to their annual meeting whenever it was in November or whatever, and it's a great fellowship. So the next thing is to pay the following invoices. Silk Stevens Limited Pool Feasibility Study, $13,286.81.
Mr. Mayor, I would make a motion that we approve that amount. I've gone through the figures of all the statements, and it is what they said they would charge. I've gone through the report, which we had some hard copies, and they seem to have prepared the report well, and we have our deliverables. There is one thing that I would just bring up, in that I would like to go back and talk to Mr. Stevens before we cut the check. I've been working and talking with Chris Rayner on this. That the work that's done on the building is fine. I know it can be situated around. We may have to acquire a little bit extra land, but there's just a topographical concern that I would just like to take and present to them and get their feedback on if they've covered that off. And they say, yes, no problem, Councillor Cheney, we know what's there, we've got this, we've done that. And hoping they don't say, well, gee, we didn't really look at that all that well. So that's just my comments. We wouldn't have to wait another month. They're due their money plus the HSD. But I'd just like to get some clarification and settlement of mind on that one issue. So I guess the motion would be to pay the $13,286.81 with the proviso that they're well covered off on that topographical issue.
You heard the motion by Councillor Cheney. Do we have a seconder?
I'll second it.
Seconded by Councillor Fitzsimmons. Question?
Excuse me, we're higher. Is that out of last year's money? Not the current budget? Thank you.
Any other questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. The next regular council meeting is Monday, March the 6th, 2017, here at the Grand Manan Community Center at 7:30. I'd like to thank the people that took the time to come out and for the council meeting, and also our volunteers for running the cameras and the sound system. And I don't know if, who's going to be here or who isn't for the next meeting, but Councillor Worthing is going on a little bit of a vacation. I think she said at the end of February. A jaunt towards the end of February, so we wish her all the best in her travels. You heard the motion by Councillor Morse, a motion to adjourn. Do we have a seconder? Seconded by Councillor Sturgeon. Good night.